Hey everyone, welcome in. Thank you for joining me. My name is Marlene and I am with A Room to Bloom. So today is New Year's Eve. It is the last day of 2025. I'm just going to turn the volume down just slightly. So, 2025, when adding those up in numerology, is a 9. Nines are mean completion in numerology. It's also a cycle, right? So when you take the 1 through 9, a cycle has come to a completion. So there are a few things going on here in when we talk about release and letting go. So we're at the end of a new year, or pardon me, at the end of the year, heading into the new year. If we take a few moments and we take a look at our year from the mind of an observer versus being caught up so much in the emotion of the experiences in that year. If we can imagine that some of those experiences were on a television screen of our own, that we were watching our own life, if you will. And if you kind of just take a moment and see if you can remember a little bit about what happened in January and February, this type of thing, without going into great detail, but just, a little bit of recall. And in situations that you may have been in, come across, challenges that came up, how did you maneuver through them, right? How did you overcome them? How did they start up or dissipate, right? Did you give it a lot of energy so it was big for quite some time? Or did you give it energy for a little while and then realize you were ready for a shift, and so that started to get small again, right? The other thing is we have a new moon, or pardon me, a full moon that will be coming up January 3rd. And so we're kind of entering that energy where moon cycles build up for like 3 days going in and 3 days coming out of its phase. And those moons, or full moons, are also about release. And so really thinking about what of this past year you are really ready to just let go and to give energy in life to something new, right? Did you continue to repeat cycles of some sort? Whether that was a certain type of relationship, certain type of job, you go for the same type of thing. You go for a check, but not for the love of the work, not necessarily being in soul resonance, right? So these are just things to look at once you kind of write some of those down. But one of the biggest questions, I think, is to ask yourself, how did I grow? How did I evolve through those experiences of that year? In what ways did I become my highest and best self? In what ways do I think maybe I could have handled things differently, or in a way maybe that I would handle better today than I did then, because I didn't know better, or because you were under great pressure, and so instead of responding calmly to situations, you reacted, right? And these are the lessons that we have. Now, the other thing that came to me just as I was sitting down, these words came to me: futile, or bearing fruit. And it came to me because I was just sitting down to do a video. And if you've noticed, I've done fewer videos because I've just had other things going on. And depending upon how many people are interacting with the video, comments, whether people comment or not, or whatever that is. The question is it futile? which means it is incapable of producing any useful result, or is it pointless? Um, or is it something that bears fruit? Now, we can look at this two different ways. Um, if we are talking about bearing fruit in a monetary sense, right? And in the, if you want to say the, from the realm of the human experience, right? But what if you're doing this from the perspective of the spiritual aspect, and you do these videos because it aligns with your soul, it aligns with your spirit to bring messages forth, to bring topics forth, to bring experiences forth, to help others who may or may not be ready to um, participate, if you will, right? Um, the other thing now that's coming to me is fear, fear-based choices or choices of love, right? And so there's a lot of people who don't comment, and I will do that myself. Sometimes I'll watch other videos and I don't always feel the need to comment. But if there are messages that you are grateful for that have helped you on your journey, it's awesome, right? To let people know that their work is helping you, right? Helping you on your journey. Okay, so again, if we're looking at it from the human perspective, someone might feel that their work is futile. But if you're looking at it from a spiritual perspective, meaning I don't do everything for everyone else and for accolades and this stuff. I do it because it aligns with my spirit. And when it aligns with my spirit, I vibrate, at a certain speed. Therefore, that message will get to those who are vibrating in that frequency of that message, right? And so, you can also look back over 2025. What did you feel like was futile? You could say in the human experience, right? And what bared fruit. So you might say your 9 to 5 job was bearing fruit, but your, say, whatever, if you're an artist, maybe you do that and you love it, but you haven't been earning money financially yet. But there has been something that has been resetting your spirit in creating that artwork. So it is not futile. To other people who are only solely based on the paycheck, they might think that, like, why wouldn't you just go get a real second job or something like that, not understanding the true benefits of the healing process that happens in the creating, the wonder, the beauty. We are born creators, right? And so it is a way of self-expression. It is a way of healing. And so asking yourself, whatever you experienced in that year, in what perspective are you looking at it from? And remembering to keep other people's voices out of the equation, because you will have voices that will come in, and whether they're family, friends, spouse, whatever that is, that might say, why are you doing this? The naysayers. But they don't really get the spirit thing. But I bet if you are this kind of person, I bet that when they want to do something that resonates with their spirit, you are very encouraging of them to do that, right? Because you understand it on a more profound level. But, we are here in our human experience. It is about finding balance between our human experience and our spiritual experience while we are still in our body, right? Okay. So one moment, I'm just going to have a sip of water here. So with all of that being said, I made this deck, I don't know, within a couple years. And I called it place cards because I think that there are times in our lives, yes, I have goosebumps, where we have a tough time figuring out what is our place in this world, right? What are we doing here? Especially when we are weighing those words of, is this futile? Am I just spinning my wheels? Or is this bearing fruit in some form or manner, right? So some of these are blank. They're not all done, but let's just, I'm going to take half of them because, oh, I think I can shuffle them all. Let's just see what comes up. If I don't have the words in there, I'll mention the word and maybe set it aside, or we'll see what happens here. What messages do you have to show us about finding one's place? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 for 2004 so you can kind of reflect on it, and 3 for 2005. Okay? So 2000, I said 4, but I meant 5, and we're going to take 3 for 2006. So the first one we have is joy. Okay, so this would be for 2025. Sometimes we believe that joy comes only when we are doing something to create it. But joy is a feeling that we can choose in each moment of our day. Check in with yourself and ask what makes you feel joyful without chasing it. So this is a bit of a reflection for 2025. When did you just recognize that you felt joyful? I actually watched a movie recently, and this woman was speaking on that she just felt joy in that moment. She recognized it. She didn't let it bypass her. Okay, the next one we have is calibration. Okay, so calibration is, I don't have anything written on here, but it's about recalibrating to our, I don't want to say recalibrating, setting to another's energy, if you will. So if one person has a schedule that's all over the board and another person has a calmer schedule, how do you calibrate those, schedules? Kitty jump up here. Anyway, how do you calibrate those schedules? Were you struggling because of a need for calibration in 2025, or feeling the need for calibration? Okay, the next one that we have is healing. Okay, when you think of healing, what comes to mind? Very often, healing goes much deeper than the physical body. We can heal from familiar conditioning or patterning and societal. We can heal traumas that we have been carrying around emotionally by feeding them and working through them. When healing, we are no longer choosing to run. By the way, that word was facing them, and I'm so sorry. This was written, and my writing is kind of messy here. So I'm going to read that again. We can heal traumas that we have been carrying around emotionally by facing them and by working through them. When healing, we are no longer choosing to run. So in 2025, did you take some time to sit with yourself over some things that had been challenging you? I'm sorry. There is a cat that is getting in a bag, right? And so that's always kind of interesting, and nothing is by coincidence. You know how when people say the cat is out of the bag, this is like saying the cat is still in the bag, if you will. Like but only part way. Only part way. Okay, so one other card fell out of the deck, and this is the word trust. So this will be for 2026. At this time, you are being encouraged to trust your journey, even when things don't always make sense the way that they might have before. Using discernment when making decisions, asking, is this for the highest and best of all? Trusting your journey, trusting your intuition, using discernment, right? Okay, we're going to go ahead and shuffle these again. Okay, so with planning, many times people might do a vision board. They're planning their seasons out, vacations, this type of thing. So you, for 2026, may be doing some planning. And the other thing I'm seeing here is trust the plan, right? Trust the plan. Okay, let's go ahead. That means also releasing the grip, right? The other thing, while I had a quick break because the kitties, but the other thing I'm seeing when I was looking at these other cards of calibration, joy, and healing for 2025 is that though that is something that you may have been working on to calibrate. How do you calibrate your joy and your healing? Finding balance in those, right? Okay, what else do we have here? Self-awareness. Beautiful. You know, it just shows evolution, right? So self-awareness is a practice of being aware of the self and the way we think, speak, and act. Many people might think about the things after the fact or later in the evening when things have quieted down. The truly self-aware person closes that gap and becomes mindful in the present moment, right? But it is a practice and it does take time to become more and more self aware. Sometimes, you know, as we go through our life and we're busy, we might be on a vacation and we're just in a peaceful state of mind, and then we have something come up that reminds us of a situation. It could have happened months ago, it could have happened years ago, and then we start thinking about that, right? But my hand is tingling. Sorry, it just kind of threw me off. But anyway, it's this idea of trust the planning, become more self aware in this year of 2026. Um, okay, I have goosebumps from that. Oh, this is just such a perfect next deck. It is the Mind and Body Makeover. So, with this idea of self awareness, I'm going to set aside the idea for 2024 right now. I'd like to focus on, I keep saying that, this is for 2025. Let's focus on 2026. All right. So this is the Mind Body Makeover cards. Let's see what comes up that would be helpful for you on your journey. There are two sides to each card, right? And everything begins in our thoughts, and it starts with our thought process, right? So hand in hand with this self-awareness. You could plan to become more self-aware in the moment. That, you know, so when you're in a situation and either someone speaks to you and says something and you maybe would your normal reaction, you might have had a reaction. And now in 2026, setting this resolution that I'm going to practice more self-awareness. I'm going to plan to be more responsive versus reactive. Okay. So again, I'm just going to shuffle these one more time on camera here so you can see. Okay, so the first card, it speaks about a healthy body. And it says, my relationships are true partnerships. I give as much as I get back. I am able to give birth to my creativity in a way in which I get a healthy level of recognition and compensation. You guys, now how interesting is that? That these words came to me about, is it futile? Is it bearing fruit? Right? Again, but if it bears fruit to your spirit, right? If it bears fruit to your spirit, then it is bearing fruit. Again, I am able to give birth to my creativity in a way in which I get a healthy level of recognition and compensation. So that is like a 3D earthly type of thing, right? How interesting that that came up. And I like that that falls under trust. So it is speaking those like words of life over yourself, right? I trust that my relationships are true partnerships. I give as much as I get back, meaning they're reciprocal, right? Uh, it's not just one person just chasing another person for some type of validation, for some type of attention, if you will. Okay, what else do we have here? We have healing fear. My feelings are part of my intuitive guidance system, and they are my great strengths that help me make the best choices in my life, right? So, my feelings. So, how do we feel in certain situations? Not necessarily how do we think, how do we feel? That is that is our intuition speaking to us through our body. And they are a guidance system. They are like a GPS. So again, trusting your intuition, but you can still heal your fear. You can become self-aware in situations. You can learn to plan accordingly. You can learn to trust your intuition, right? Trust your feelings. All right, what else do we have? Got a little one here. getting into something over here. Come on. Here. Hey. Excuse me. No, no. No, no. No, 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 no. Okay. All right. What else do we have? Interesting, because that was healing fear 1 and this is healing fear 2. I now learn from past disappointing relationships so I can release the anger and the sadness and move on to more fulfilling ones, right? Interesting for 2025, calibrating the joy and the healing. I was speaking about that, right? We have these cycles, having cycles that, I said I was speaking about it. I may have been writing about it today. But either way, we have these cycles that we go through. And do we repeat the same type of patterns is the question. Again, I learn from past disappointing relationships so I can release the anger and the sadness and move on to more fulfilling ones. So the word that I was really should have been focusing on is release again. We're releasing that of 2025. We're stepping into 2026 with trust, planning, and self-awareness. What would self-awareness look like that? Not repeating patterns, right, in relationships. Okay, what else do we have? Healthy self-esteem. Now, this is interesting because it came up in the reverse order, okay? And so a healthy self-esteem says this: when my mind and my heart are aligned, what I have to say reveals genuine integrity, which makes people want to listen to me. And then, so this would say not having self-esteem would be what one has to say rarely matters, which is so interesting again, because I gave the example of speaking here, right? Is it futile to others, or is it bearing fruit? Do others look at it? Is something being futile, or is it healing for my spirit, right? That would be saying that it's a low self-esteem in a situation. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, this is healing anger. Now, healthy anger says this: I skillfully act on my ideas and visions, and I free myself from emotionally distracting influences. But unhealthy anger would be people tend to control me and to make demands, right? And so, again, these are our thoughts. So, if that is the way that you feel, and you start to learn to trust yourself more, to become more self aware, to not repeat patterns in any type of relationships. And that would be including if you recognize a situation where someone may be trying to control someone. This is actually interesting. I started to watch a movie last night, and I could tell almost in the first, like, it was like a couple sentences where this gal was talking to this guy that, he was laying it on really thick and she was buying it all, right? And as it went on, that's exactly what he was. That's what the movie, like, I stopped it and I went, I'm not watching this. This is not something that I'm watching or giving energy to, right? But when I read the credit, because I hadn't really read it, that's exactly what it was saying, is that it kind of was going down a dark path, and she had to regain her, just regain herself, right? Take control back of herself, because she was feeling that. So she could have been angry about that. Okay, on the bottom of the deck, okay, we have the what's coming up here is healthy joy, but it was like this, okay? And so healthy joy is I can be happy and love myself whether I am working or at rest. That's healthy joy. But this was in reverse, and it says I feel happiest if I am busy, productive, or at work on something, right? So the question is to say, can you be joyful when you are resting too, where you're not just always going, 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 right? Can you find peace in those moments? And this is something, because it's on the bottom of the deck, that would represent the subconscious mind, okay? All right, so we're just going to go ahead and leave that. I'm going to see if we have a message here from the ancestors, angels and ancestors. Excuse me. All right, what message do you want to bring out for the collective here for 2025? Spring, see your seeds grow. As we are, right now where I live, it's the winter season, right? It is in the wintering season where we contemplate, we review, we look over, right, the previous season. We also think about what is it that we would like to plant or to bloom in the summer. What would we like to plant? What ideas do we have that we could start to bring to life, if you will, that we would plant in March? Okay, again, so taking some time to plant. What would you like to grow? Do you want to go to school? Would you like to take a class of some sort? Would you like to take some time off of work? Would you like to change what you're doing, right? Spend more time with your family. What is that? Okay, the next one that we have here under trust is we have the drum, which speaks about the dream and the journey. And I'm just going to keep going for a minute. I want to take one. It doesn't necessarily have to fall under trust, but I'm going to take one more here quick. Mother Earth, yeah. Feel loved and comforted. That's funny. That's why I was kind of feeling like that drum, the dream and journey, was supposed to go under self-awareness. Mother Earth, feel loved and comforted. So Earth, another name for Earth is Gaia, right? And trusting Mother Earth, feel loved and comforted. I'm going to use the book for these two here and read those to you. Let's see. Okay, under Mother Earth, allow yourself to be cherished. Mother Earth is protecting you with a shield of love and light. Trust that. Mother Earth is the feminine counterpart to Father Sky. It's auspicious to receive this card because in the eyes and heart of Mother Earth, you are her child. She is highly protective of her baby and will give you everything that you need to grow and to expand. Mother Earth is only covered by leaves in this card, showing the vulnerability of the earth. Every day she experiences challenges that she has to adapt to and overcome. Her energy, represented by the symbol of the pagan triple goddess Maiden, Mother, and Crone, which is that one right up here. Okay, Maiden, Mother, and Crone. Behind her, you can adapt as the changes of life come your way. Again, I'm going to read this. Her energy, represented by the symbol of the pagan triple goddess, the Maiden, the Mother, and the Crone, so representing Mother Earth, can help you adapt as the changes of life come your way. The extended message is that you may have felt overwhelmed or out of control emotionally recently, but you are now moving back to your natural center, and that will bring you to a place of clarity and openness. If you have felt ungrounded, know that Mother Earth is here to root you and to help you regain your sense of strength. You may not feel like a child, but in the eyes of the divine, you are a child of light, and it is important that you know and feel that you are loved. If you had challenges with your mother or with being a mother yourself, know that the energies of mother healing are with you to help clear any ancestral blockages that are preventing you from making this sacred love connection. You are being guided to make choices that are based on love. So beautiful. This message is very beautiful. Again, it falls under the word trust. Okay, and then under self-awareness, we have the drum. So let's see what we have here. Okay, here it is. So the message for the drum, again, that speaks of the dream and the journey. Journey inwards to uncover insights and information that will be an important part for your path. Then follow the guidance. How interesting. Again, like I said, I just was feeling like that was supposed to go under self-awareness. In shamanic traditions in all four corners of the world, the drum is recognized as the main tool used by medicine men and women to direct their will and aid meditation. The drum beat can become hypnotic and send those listening into an altered state that can allow them to journey to the spiritual realms and meet their guides. When the drum card appears in a reading, there are opportunities for you to dream or to bring an inner vision into reality. Bring an inner vision into reality. Planning. The extended message, and I am full of goosebumps again. You are very connected to the other worlds at this time. The wisdom and intelligence of the earth and her magic surrounds you. The drum, which echoes the sound of Mother Earth's heartbeat, has cleared the cobwebs and dust from your inner vision. What have you seen in your dreams and inner vision is not imagination, but guidance, particularly if it has been coming to you repeatedly and has the potential to become reality. Dreams come true. Know it and live it, right? Make your dreams come true. That's so interesting. Okay, I'm thinking of that just because of something, an area that I have set up in my home that's kind of all about that, right? So kind of neat. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, so it's really interesting. I happened to grab a book off my shelf today. And there are 3 books by Sarah Ban Breathnock, and this particular one is called Moving On. Let's see. I'm just going to see. I had opened this for a message. Let's see. I'll just tell you what came up here. It says, letting herself go. Something that required the best of us has ended. You will miss it. That's by Ann Wilson Schaaf. And then she just goes on to say, why is letting go so hard? This is a puzzling question, especially if we have been looking forward to a change. So again, this message started out about release, right? It is the end of a year. It is the end of a cycle. And sometimes, we have to ask ourselves, are we white knuckling that year? Are we going to white knuckle 2025 because there's something in there that we wanted to hang on to so tightly? Or can we release or loosen our grip and step into 2026 with grace, right? It says it is frightening to discover that some part of us is still holding on to what we used to be, for it makes us wonder whether the change was in fact a bad idea. That's all I'm going to read. It's just a couple sentences, but it's the idea of understanding that we are here to learn lessons, to evolve our soul and such, right? I'm going to set this down. To evolve our soul. So again, it's interesting that came up, letting go. That is yet the message again as we end the year, stepping into the new one. Okay, so I'm going to take a card here from the deck called The Secret Language of Light. And let's see what wants to step forth here. Soul song. So beautiful. What is your soul song? I'm going to read this one for you. Tune in to the soundtrack of life. Okay, before we go any further, I have to share something. So I believe it's been for the last 7 days. My radio, which is a CD player, but it does not have an alarm clock, keeps turning on, and it's been between 10:30 and 11 every morning. Um, and I started realizing that there was a pattern, and sometimes I might be in another room, so I didn't catch the song that it was on, but I started to really tune in, because I'm like, I'm going to pay attention. I know that this is happening between this time frame. And so today it turned on at exactly the same time it turned on yesterday, and then catching the song titles. I mean, that's if I'm within, uh, you know, earshot, if you will, of the radio to catch the message in the song that is coming on. So spirit or ancestors, spirit guides, etc., will also communicate with us in this type of way. So when you have those interesting situations, like whether your television turns on, and or off, your lights on or off. So in this case, it's the radio. It says, your soul, tune into the soundtrack of life. Your soul emits a beautiful song. Think of it as a pulsating light moving in rhythm with the universe. Your song travels through light and is the background music of your life. Even if you can't hear the song with your physical ears, know that it exists. We know animals hear sounds we can't. Your song is always resonating throughout the universe, along with the music of the spheres and the sound of the universe made when it was born, the greatest song of all. Om. You can tune into it through your heart and your throat. Be willing to live your life from your highest, most aligned, most loving perspective. I just have to stop here for a minute. So I opened a book today, called uh, Guidance from Your Angels. I don't have it in this room. And there was this one that was talking about, kind of singing the vowels of the alphabet, and then there was this other one that was Inu Ra, and I was singing it, and I think I'm saying it wrong. I am saying it wrong because it kind of sounded like Om, so I know I'm saying it wrong. but but it's so interesting. I had never done that, and then here this comes up again. You can tune into it through your heart and your throat. Be willing to live your life from your highest, most aligned, most loving perspective. The next song or piece of music that moves your inner world will help you to tune into your soul song, or you can go out into nature. The music of nature will balance and detoxify, align with the sounds of the earth, and you will find the steps to take next. Now, there was something else that I wanted to mention, and it was about grounding that came up, I think, in the card, yeah, with the drum. And it was just a little bit ago, I had YouTube on, and there was a commercial for a gal who was speaking about these grounding sheets. They have these grounding mats. And, depending upon where you live, it's maybe not always conducive to uh, walk on the ground if the temperatures are really cold, right? So she was talking about these grounding sheets, and there are grounding mats that you can also lay on. Doing things with like replanting pots and such, getting your hands in the dirt, if you will. But it is really our feet that need to be on the ground to help, when we're feeling anxious and this type of thing. It helps to calm our body. And we're talking about getting barefoot here, getting barefoot, up to 15 to 20 minutes a day, and not while you're holding your cell phone, setting that aside, just doing this regularly, and to allow natural healing to take place, to do nervous system resets, this type of thing. Again, I'm not a doctor, but this is something that's really well known. Anyway, so I think what we are going to do is just wrap this up right now. I want to say thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the message. As we step into the new year, I hope that you continue to have trust, continue to plan your journey, but do some planning, but trust the journey, right? And practicing self-awareness, closing that gap of, like, if we reacted at some point, but then we think about it later, right? And it's about closing that gap and learning to change the reactions to responses in the present moment, responding calmly, right? Okay, have a great day. Take care.